Greetings, everybody. This is the nightlife, and I will give you chapter 8 of Faulty Question Project Horizons. You like my Italian-Russian accent? Weird, I know. Okay, so today I will be reading chapter 8 of Project Horizons, and this chapter is called Long Roads, and it is again by Somber. Check it out on, actually, it's only on EKD. So yeah. I used to say my mouth is making promises my legs can't keep. The word spread like wildfire. Did you hear about the bounty? What bounty? The bounty. The bounty of the year. The bounty of the century. 50,000 caps dead. 100,000 alive. 100,000 caps? Imagine it. All for the head and pip like some stable dweller? A stable dweller? Yeah, security. Security? That the mare the DJ Pwn 3 talked about. Yeah, she's somewhere she's somewhere around Megamart. Are you going after her? Are you? The answer had been yes. As I watched through P-21's binoculars, I saw them drawn by the promise of easy money. That very morning, a camp formed outside the main gates. Only a half dozen. By noon it was 20. By sundown, 50. Most of them had pathetic weapons, rusted rifles and barely mended work implements. But that was changing. The professionals were starting to arrive. Professionals who were asking questions. What did security look like? What weapons did she carry? What foods did she like to eat? Who were her friends? By the morning of next day, Megamart had found itself inundated with customers. Keystone made sure every one of them paid the toll, and even restricted weapons in case gun wasn't enough deterrent. Each of the shoppers kept an eye out for the mare with the black and red mane. Had a single one of them laid eyes on me, I think they'd have torn me to pieces and hauled me to Deos in a bucket. Still, for all of the watchful eyes, no pony seemed too interested in the four wastelanders and their Brahmin, dressed in rags and cloaks, reeking of Brahmin droppings. Their backs rattled with salvage from all across Hoofington as they slowly crept north. Reaching the overpass, a gang of 10 stopped them. We're looking for security. Oh, security escaped last night. Didn't you hear? She was an Enclave agent. Cut her wings off to fool us all. The old buck leading the caravan of wastelanders cackled. Horse apples, spat another caravaner. A gray mare with crossed knives for her cutie mark. She's still in there. Security's from Tempony. Got enough money to buy the finders. They're finally making their move on the hoof. She's traveling with a Pegasus and an Earth pony. The cream buck gang leader said as he glowered? I don't know. At the caravanners. Ain't no Turk is here. The old buck cackled as the gang searched the packs. He was obviously telling the truth. Clearly none of the traveling ponies could be hiding wings beneath their dusty cloaks and robes. The leader the leader of the 10 looked at his followers. Well, we think security might try to sneak out. Shit, you caught me. The left head of the Brahmins muttered. The other head gasped. You're a security? You fucker. What did you do with Hank? A few of the bounty hunters snorted at the two jabbering heads. The leader looked at the remaining buck and mare. You, get over here, he demanded briskly of the mare. Get over here and get those rags off. Don't you lay a hoof on my girl, the olive green buck glared, his eyes drilling into the leader. His wild black mane rose in a mad tangled ridge from brow to tail. A trio of varmint rifles fixed on him, making him bristle but step back. The purple mare gave a coy giggle. Oh, don't worry, hon. I'm sure they'll be gentle. She wiggled out of the robe and revealed a petite body dressed in frilly, if slightly worn lingerie that covered both flanks and back legs. Quite a cute mare if you overlook the male bits between his haunches. He fluttered his lashes at the leader. Happy? The 10 immediately lost interest and returned into looking at Meckham. It's a trap! Remarked, scrambling as I realized 3 more caravans were leaving for three other directions. The caravan continued north, laughing and sharing jokes. A few miles beyond the overpass, the 2 ponies following them turned back. Ooh. I never thought I'd be glad to see Pony Joe's again. As our caravan walked around the back of the donut shop, I glanced behind us once again before cackling with glee. You got me. You nearly made me laugh, I said fondly to Hank and Tony. I do stand up. The Brahmin's left head said with a chuckle. I'm sorry, this is so funny, it's making me stutter. This is better than some of the comedies I've read. Buttercup smiled fondly as she reached back, licking over the cross blades, and then carefully peeled off the key mark decal, spitting it into the garbage. Are you sure you won't keep the disguise a little longer? Bonesaw didn't really have much to remove from himself, as all his disguise entailed was his robes. So he helped me pull the wiry black hair that had been stuck to me with wax. Folks need to start spotting security somewhere other than Megamart. If they think we're still hiding there, sooner or later they'll try to storm the place or burn you out. If I know DJ Ponfrey, as soon as I plug a raider, he'll be all over it. Plug a raider. Because killing them was a joke. I really was that callous. You're lucky you got such a puny horn. Never would have been able to cover it otherwise. Bonesaw said as he magically yanked the clump of hair-coated wax off my brow. I frowned, feeling a little hurt. My horn isn't puny. It's barely bigger than a foal's, he cackled. I feigned an injured yet dignified expression. It's not puny. P-21 removed all his wasteland garments, frowning as he glanced at me with a small, almost amused smile. Bonesaw, does the size of a unicorn's horn have any indication of their magical prowess? Because, Blackjack, I have to admit, I've never seen you do magic before. P-21 teased. The wrinkled old buck rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Oh crap, it's frozen. My horn isn't puny. I just wasn't taught magic. I just wasn't taught any magic. I said defensively. Buck, let me try again. My horn's not puny. I just wasn't taught any magic, that's all. I said defensively. I was supposed to learn spells once I took over for Mom. Okay, that was a lie, but it was the best excuse I could manage. The truth was, I couldn't really do magic. I could levitate guns and swing batons as well as any unicorn, but my telekinesis was hardly all that impressive. In medical, they concluded that my magic hadn't fully developed yet. I still had bad dreams of spending hours with Marmalade trying to summon magical hoofcuffs or casting a stunning spell. Trying to get the interrogation spells to work had been an absolute nightmare, particularly when my mom when my mom decided that it might help if she demonstrated them by using them on me. Having your mother dig through your porn stash was bad enough, but having her dig through your memories of how many times you put yourself on the breeding queue, and having her critique your performance and offer suggestions? Good goddesses, what the fuck? Ugh, I pity anyone who has ever had that happen to them. P-21 looked at me in concern. Blackjack, you okay? Yeah. Oh god, was it really becoming that much of a basket case? I didn't freak out, did I? Well, he gave me a definite smirk. Oh, yes, he was really smirking. That was a Blackjack kind of smirk, instead of a sullen P-21 smirk. It seemed like you were turning pretty interesting colors under that paint job. Ugh. Leave the mental patient alone, I countered. But I was glad I wasn't thinking about Mom recommending I raise my hips. Goddesses! I was thinking of it again. Groaning, I fished around for any other topic I could think of. Hey, Bottlecap, are ponies like Deos common in the wasteland? Goddesses, I hope they're not. She took out a bottle of mildly radioactive water. No way to waste filtered stuff for washing. And started scrubbing the gray paint off her hide. There's always been reapers around Hoofington, but most aren't as strong as Deos. Oh, it's frozen. It's frozen. Okay, I'm back. Had to kind of reboot my computer and had to load up save type thingy. Well, let's start that paragraph again, shall we? She took out a bottle of mildly radioactive water. No way to waste filtered stuff for washing, and started scrubbing the gray paint off her hide. There has always been reapers around Hoofington, but most aren't as strong as Deos. When you become a reaper, they do something to you, make you stronger and tougher. But the oldest reapers, like Big Daddy and Deos, have potent internal healing talismans, and the like. The only ponies that come close to challenging their firepower are the Steel Rangers. Oh, why is that? I asked as I peeled off my cutie mark decal and started scrubbing off my olive paint. For some reason, wearing it made me twitchy. I liked seeing my ace and queen of spades. Then I glanced over at P21's male symbol and 21 dots before he covered them up with his saddlebags. What would his key mark have been? A book? A candle? A stubborn jackass? The Steel Rangers have the Iron Mare Naval Station. The HMS Celestia is tied up there. If they get the guns working on that ship, they'll be able to lob shells half across Hoofington. They've got numbers and ammo, and they're stocking up on every missile they can get their hooves on. Battlecap looked to the east, but highlands to the north and east blocked our view. Most Steel Rangers just worry about stockpiling weapons and technology from the past. I'm pretty sure Star Paladin Steel Rain plans on something bigger. Fortunately, the Reapers love to pick fights from the west and east, from the west, and the Enclave has them bottled up from the south, leaving them mostly stuck in Iron Mare. You think they're going to try and take over Hoofington? Bottlecap chewed her lip. Elder Crunchy carrots? Never. But Elder Crunchy is growing increasingly old and feeble, and I think Steel Rain would just love to show Equestria what the Steel Rangers can actually do. Unfortunately, the Enclaves have similar feelings. If they go to war, a whole third of Hoofington might be lost. Sunken under the oceans. That was me, sorry. I frowned and scanned the skies. Speaking of Enclave, where's Morning Glory? She left before us. She should be here. I glanced behind me at the door of the donut shop. No, she wouldn't actually have gone inside. I walked to the back door and carefully opened it, expecting a wash of pure nausea. Instead, all I smelled was hot air. DJ Palm Tree played calmly from within. Inch by inch, I opened it and peeked inside the kitchen of horror, only to find it's clean. Well, clean in a figurative sense. The industrial mixers have been removed. The ovens and food preparation surfaces have been cleaned so they sparkled. The bodies were missing, and the bodies were all missing. Some pony had come by in the last day or two and scrubbed away every sign of atrocity. Okay, this was one of the more creepy experiences I'd had in the last week. Not as bad as a few places, but still. I walked inside and found Glory reading a magazine in one of the booths. The radio in the corner filling the dining area with soothing music. A sparkle cola sat on the on the tabletop beside her. If she hadn't been wearing the Enclave uniform and battle saddle, I would have thought she was a ghost. A Pegasus filly from 2 centuries ago, sitting here and waiting for her date to arrive. Huh? Ooh. Does Blackjack have feelings for morning glory? Let's find out. Hey, Blackjack. Hey, I don't suppose you've been holding back a shocking talent for house cleaning, have you? I said as I sat in the booth opposite her. Nope. You mean it wasn't like this before? She gestured with her hoof. My duffel bag with shotgun and reinforced barding were rested next to her. She also had P-21 things in a sack. I gave her a skeptical look. This was a raider's nest. You saw how they lived. This place should have bodies for decorations and guts for streamers. Fuck, did I really say that? I took a deep breath, feeling my head pounding. Some pony cleaned this place up. Well, it wasn't me. I've been waiting all morning, she said with a little smile, gesturing at the empty bottles of cola next to her. There's running water in the sinks, but I think it might be radioactive. You should have P-21 check in the ladies' room. There's a locked first aid kit in there. She sighed, propping her hooves under her chin as she looked back down at her scientific equestrian. Though why any pony would lock up emergency medical supplies is beyond me. It does seem counterproductive, I agreed. They went out to tell others that they could come inside. 1 second, let me get into a position where I won't mumble so much. Alright. P-21 went right to that locked first aid kit. The bathrooms were much more effective at removing the rest of the paint. Even Glory was right about the radiation. My eyes started to itch as my vision turned decidedly more amberish. Minor magical radiation poisoning for sure. No patch and purge cure special this time. In the bathroom, I left the bathroom decidedly cleaner. Went to the duffel and sucked down a pack of Radaway, enjoying the tangy orange flavor. Bleh. They could have bottled this stuff. Then I put on my new and improved and heavier armor. It certainly felt more substantial. There was also a reinforced helmet made in the same blue and gold motif. If I could feel the metal plates soon inside. Hopefully it would prevent more Blackjack got blown up within an inch for life. Someone had soon the Crusaders patch on my left side, right below the words security. It might have been dingy, but it seemed the little gold filly pawing defiant. Oh, you mean this mean hoofing? I bet you dollars the donuts this guy has a fur too. Oh well. Defiantly at the air made me smile and choke up at the same time. Somehow I'd pay back the Crusaders as well. The faction everybody forgot about deserved help the most. Stepping out, I saw Morning Glory talking with Bottlecap and Bonesaw. I hung back, pretending to be interested in Glory's scavenged magazines. Once the slides are prepared, please see that they get to Dr. Morningstar at the RDSP with my notes. I'm sure she'll be interested with more. Let him know I'm traveling with Blackjack. I gotta take a second, my jaw's hurting. Okay, I am back. I am sorry that my voice was not enunciating very well. Let's get right back into it, shall we? Stepping out, I saw Morning Glory with talking with Bone. Oh wait, I already read that part. Let's see here. You could just take them yourself, Ballcat pointed out. It's hazardous, but Keeper's caravan goes by the skyport every 2 weeks. Glory looked over at me with a small smile. Well, as terrifying as it's been, I think I'll stay with Blackjack. She saved my life, and she's trying to do the right thing. Maybe I can find more samples too. Aw, watch me blush. Well, glad to have you with us, I said, and I meant it. She was a little literal, but she'd seen a lot of the same horrors I had and hadn't fallen apart nearly as bad as I did. And she could fly. Her enclaveness was certainly concerning, but I was convinced her heart was in the right place. Oh snap! This is not good. Not good. Not good. Okay, we're back. Once everything was squared away, the three of us headed west towards the weather monitoring for the broadcast tower, a handy landmark. Now that I had shed the disguise, I felt a definite twitching between my shoulder blades. I also felt good. Maybe it was just a day of downtime, not killing any pony, or Glory's vote of confidence, or just the fact that I'd run into Deos and come out alive. So did your brains tell you anything? I asked her, half teasing. I figured I figured any pony after my head would show up as red on my EFS, but the only hostiles in the area were bobbing bloat sprites. Yes, the radar sample had severe ulcerations in the prefrontal lobes. She caught my "I'm not a smart pony, remember?" look and coughed. The fronts of their brains were full of little holes. It looked almost like a sponge. See? Translate smart into stupid, and I have no problem following along. The front of the brain is where you do most of your long-term decision, most of your long-term decision making happens. You probably see the same thing with Blackjack's brain, she said, grinning at me. I did all I could not to say a word, feeling my heart throbbing in my ears. So, what do you think causes it? He continued, not noticing my discomfort. There's a lot of ponies that live in the wasteland who manage to stay sane. Sure, they might kill us. They might kill us anyway for a mountain of caps, but that was sane. Some bacteria or virus, I think. The decay is progressive. Likely it takes months or years for full psychological breakdown. Given that raiders are so aggressive and cannibalistic, they may spread it through eating infected ponies. She replied, "The Enclave reports that there's something down here that turns all ponies into raiders, but we've come across plenty that aren't. The slaver brain was perfectly healthy, no ulceration at all." She looked positively ecstatic. More samples are needed, of course, but the Enclave can get that. If I'm right, once they lock down the source, we can work on our treatment. Imagine a wasteland with no more raiders. That just leaves radiation ghouls, bandits, killer robot slavers. P21 listed. I gave him a little shove. Taking raiders out of the equation would go a long way towards making Hoofington a safer place to live. He was right, but if she was right and the Enclave could come up with a cure, I'd sure be happy. Then they could just do something about those clouds. My mouth is... I taste copper. Fuck. Okay, it turns out that I bit my tongue and didn't even know it, so I tasted blood, and so I wasn't having a stroke. Oh, close one. I'd be scared out of my wits for a second. So, in light of that scare, I am going to keep reading. Okay. While I wasn't exactly thrilled about resting at the weather station, I knew there was food we'd left behind, and unless the robots rebuilt themselves, we should be safe. By the time we reached the station, the rain had started back up, and the ground turned into mud soup. We turned back into the reinforced structure, and I carefully and respectfully cleaned out a room for us to use. I might not have been up to burying dozens of skeletons, but I didn't have to toss their bones around like garbage either. I levitated some mattresses over, and we got settled for the night. Have I mentioned I hate being bored? I had one little curiosity sitting in my bag. Slowly, I pulled out the glassy memory orb I'd received from the broken gazebo beside the lake. Laying on my mattress, I batted it back and forth between my hooves. Bonesaw had explained how they worked. A trip down somebody else's experience. See what they see and feel what they felt. I assumed my first orb had been Miss Glitterhoof's memory. Garnet recalled the an actual meeting with Fluttershy, Cheerily, and Redheart. Granted, this time I probably wasn't waking up with my intestines. Okay, not thinking about that right now. I think I'm going to take a peek inside, I said as I looked at the memory orb. Are you sure that's a good idea? P21 asked with obvious skepticism. What isn't he skeptical, really? It's one of my ideas. Of course it isn't good, I said as I lifted my hoof. As soon as I go into this thing, we'll be stormed by bounty hunters, ghouls, and deos. But I'm bored and curious, so I'll need you to protect me from Dulis raping me with his cannon. Glory frowned, rubbing her chin with a wingtip. I really don't think it'd fit. That bore has to be 122 millimeters, and that's almost the width of a mare giving birth. So I figure in the thickness of the barrel. She finally caught my look. Oh, Blackjack humor. Sorry. She smiled sheepishly. Yes, we will protect you from hypothetical Deus and his hypothetical cannon. Next, you should teach her about innuendo. She observed. P21 observed dryly. Then he looked at me in concern. I'm not exactly sure how that thing works, but be careful if you can. Heh, it's probably a nightmare phantasmorgama. Phantasmorgama. What the how does Blackjack know this word? Okay, phantasmagoria. Oh, okay, phantasmagoria. How? Blackjack is not Smart Pony. The fuck does she know phantasmagoria? Ugh. Oh well. Hey, it's probably a nightmare phantasmagoria of blood and death. So, the way my luck's been, I touched the tip of my horn to the glowing orb and made the magical connection. The world faded to black. Ooh. Stars. They've been a 5-letter word in a black page covered in white speckles on a history book. I've been too bored to read. Now a million points of light filled the heavens above me. That was nothing compared to the moon, luminous and white like a polished bottle cap. Did I just use junk money to describe the moon? I had no poetry in my soul. The lake before me looked as if it was a piece of night. It were a piece of the night sky. No scummy gray water, swampy weeds, or alligators fouling its flat, peaceful surface. Okay, have you ever stared at perfectly calm water? Looks like glass. Beautiful. The air was filled with the scent of clean water and a delicate fragrance I could only imagine were flowers. The unicorn I occupied fit so well, I felt as if I myself were standing here. I wanted to taste the water and explore those sweet scents. Sadly, I could not, as she stood underneath a gazebo roof that hadn't been crushed by a fallen skywagon. I heard hoofsteps on the bridge to the shore, and I felt her lips curl. You're going back again, aren't you? Oh, yep. A deep, mournful voice said softly. I felt him brush up against her flank. Felt her body lean against his, her eyes closing as she took in his rich smell, and felt his strong body against hers. Isn't 15 years enough of your life, Macintosh? She asked softly, stroking her cheek against his neck. They need me, came his slow reply. The princess will be there. I think this might finally be over. Over. She opened her eyes and looked up at his powerful jaw and those soft yet wonderfully strong eyes gazing down at her. Will it ever really be over for you, Macintosh? He smiled and lowered his head to nuzzle me with shocking tenderness for so powerful a stallion. Now that I've got you, I reckon so. Oh, how I adored this. She adored. Oh gosh, I was getting too hard to tell where she ended and I began. I gotta do this for my sis, for all the friends I've lost, for the princess. No, fuck, Macintosh. I gotta do this for my sis, for all the friends I've lost, for the princess. Heck, for you. Gold says zebras respect me. If I'm there, maybe they'll be more likely to go for a ceasefire. I felt him lean against me. Then I guess you have to do it, she whispered. A soft sigh, and then he asked in a much firmer tone. And then she asked in a much firmer tone, "Have you told your sister about me?" He jerked and gulped. Well, um, she's busy and, ah, Big Macintosh. We've been together for a year and you still haven't told her? I kicked his leg with my forehoof, but felt myself smiling. He was far too strong for my hoof to hurt him. I'm sorry. I just thought that if we were together long enough, she'd figure that out. She'd figure it out. He gave me a sheepish smile. I'll tell you what, Miss Mary Pony. When we're done at Shattered Hoof, I'll hand over my resignation then and there. And I felt myself arch a brow. And I'll tell my sister and everyone and every pony who this wonderful pony is. He added as he lowered his head to my own. And? I asked softly. He looked apprehensive for the moment, but before he sighed. And I'll tell him we gotta start planning for a wedding. Apprehension. Stereotypical male. I melted against him once again, kissing him and felt him hold me. Finally, like trying to tear out my own heart, our lips parted. Well, all right then, I whispered, tears running down my cheek. There were the sounds of the sky carriage approaching and landing by the house on the hillside beside the lake. I waited this long. I can wait a little bit more. I love you, Mary Pony. He whispered in my ear. I love you too, Macintosh. I replied. We stood together like that for a moment or two longer, and then parted. I hadn't realized how cool the night air was until I stood there alone beneath the stars. I listened to his fading hoofsteps across the bridge, glancing back to see him looking at me. Then he boarded the sky carriage. My eyes curled, and I felt my lips move. A whisper so soft I could only make it out from the shape of my lips. You're going to be a father. I came out of the memory at once, staring at the soft, glowing curve beneath my horn. Love. It was like stars. I'd never seen it before. Not like that. Not so obvious it made my chest hurt. Gloria and P-21 looked at me in concern. Are you alright, Blackjack? P-21 asked. What? Oh, a little pop quiz. We have met Mary Pony before in this story, she has been mentioned. It was. If you can tell me in a comment which chapter it was mentioned, you will get a cookie, and I will accept any requests at all, ever, unless they're clubs. Was I? I had no idea. Could I do anything without having my brain or emotions wrenched in an entirely new direction? Oh man, I am so sorry, every pony. It's only 10 o'clock. I don't know what's wrong. And I sat up, trying to sort my emotions into correct holes. Who was Macintosh? I asked, looking at both of them. Did you sleep through all your classes? B-21 asked with a still concerned frown. Big Macintosh was the hero of the equestrian army. He never became an officer, but he was pivotal right up until his death at the Shatterhoof assassination attempt. Assassination? Suddenly I remembered old Haas's journal entries at the Flood Field farmhouse. That's a hint at my earlier question, by the way. He died saving Princess Celestia, I said, and I looked back at the innocuous orb. Did he have anyone? They looked at my confusion. Did he have any pony? A family? A kid? I swallowed. I swallowed hard against a lump in my throat. Some pony named Mary? Mary Pony, maybe? His young sisters, his younger sisters were Apple Bloom and Applejack. But other than that, no, I don't think so. Glory said as she shook her head. Shit. Now I knew how to feel. Was there some sadistic being out there that destroyed beyond the stars, serving a buffet of misery and regret for me to wallow through? No, I couldn't let myself start thinking that way. There was no way outside that. There was no way out of that hole. I'm sorry. I guess it was bad. Gloria said softly in concern. No, no, I said quietly. He died and left her alone with a child, completely forgotten by every pony. It wasn't bad. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. And that made it so very much worse. I closed my eyes and walked out of the room to step outside and let the rain wash some of the sorrow away. P-21 looked more touched than Glory that the hero of Equestria had a love that never made it into the history books. I wondered why she'd been forgotten. Had she remained silent, bearing a colt or filly free of the stain of that tragedy? Did she try and connect to Applejack? Had some editor just thought she wasn't worth printing? And most precious of all, what had been her ultimate fate? Pernicious, sorry. How the buck does Blackjack know his words? I mean, she's not a smart pony. She said so herself. How does she know these words? I mean, I don't even know them. I'm in college. Yeah. Oh well. Okay. Yes, I have caffeine. And most pernicious of all, what had been her ultimate fate? Had she died beside that lake with Big Macintosh's child? The waters fouled by radioactive fallout as the world crashed around her? I knew that I shouldn't care. She'd been gone more than 2 centuries. Why care about a pony that no longer existed? Was it vanity? Did I want some pony to remember security 2 centuries from now? Was it loneliness? Now that I'd gone from a stable of a few hundred to less than a half dozen ponies, and I was desperate to connect with some pony good, some pony that could teach me about positive things in life. Just seeing Fluttershy's statue had inspired me to do better. I needed to do better. I watched the memory 3 more times, but there was nothing there but regret. I'd like to say that in the morning the rain stopped. Actually, I'd like to say that the rain stopped, and for the first time I saw the moon and the stars, and maybe the sun too. The reality was the rain slacked up enough to travel, but drizzled enough to turn everything into wet muck. We were north of Ironshod IRD, but I wanted to get a look around with P-21's binoculars. A hill rose to the west, and I guessed that we might be able to see the Sunset Highway from the top. It'd be nice to find out just how many bounty hunters were on our tail. The slope wasn't anything terrible, and it was covered by patches of yellowing grass and thorn bushes. Still, the saturated ground sometimes slumped alarmingly underhoof as we made our way upwards. My Pipbuck mapping tool chimed. Hill 255. Suddenly there was a metallic groan beneath us. The entire hillside started to slide out from underneath our hooves. Glory took to the skies as I wrapped my magic around P-21's leg and we scrambled to the side. To my amazement, a vast metal shape turned over as it breached the water-drenched surface. Slowly, it came to a rest behind us, and I stared at the mud-splattered turret of a 200-year-old tank. Oh my gosh. Around it and beneath it, poking from the mud, were hundreds of rotten bones, freed from the earth. Now I swept my eyes across the field to the west of us. There rose mountains, stark and sheer. North lay a lake. Was it my imagination, or could I see tiny remains of a gazebo from here? South, I could make out the many wings of the Fluttershy Hospital, but immediately south and west only lay battlefield. Even 200 years hadn't obscured the battle lines. Armored skeletons lay next to strangely graceful zebra weapons. I made out one large glowing crater southwest of the hill. It wasn't alone. Small lakes and ribbons of contaminated water lay everywhere. Even atop the hill, my radiation scanner ticked softly. A ring of concrete crumbled at the top of the hill, and I could make out something spray painted on it. Take care of, but the rest had been lost to time. Taking out the binoculars, I scanned the terrain behind us. Wow, there's a lot of folks between here and Manhattan. I could see them moving like bugs around the 2 lines of asphalt between the Boneyard and Megamart. South of us, there seemed to be quite a few wandering towards eastward from the clinic. Past the clinic, though, it looked like most of the road was abandoned. I made out a few rectangular buildings beside the highway. Beside the winding highway. I smiled a little. I think if we just skirted, if we just skirted around the Fluttershy clinic and keep our heads down, we might be able to get past. Then I noticed P-21 wasn't listening as he looked down at the tank. P-21 rubbed his chin thoughtfully with the hoof, and as he looked at the wreckage, and now laying on its muddy treads. Think we can get it working? You want to fix the tank? It's 200 years old. It's a 200-year-old relic that has been buried upside down in a hill. I said incredulously. Then I blinked and looked at Glory. Do you think we can get it working? Thanks, Celestia, the Great Pegasus simply gaped at the wreck. I wouldn't have a clue where to begin. Oh, I hope, really hope they can get it working eventually. Leaving the wreck and visions of rolling along in an armored war machine I'm sorry, but does anybody else out there think that would be awesome? Just imagine Blackjack drunk, poking out the little hole on the top of the tank, singing. That would be awesome. Alright. Leaving the wreck and visions of rolling along in an armored war machine behind, we picked our way south. The pitbuck mapping function just labeled the entire battlefield as No Pony's Land. Given the number of decaying zebra weapons and sets of armor, I'd say it was accurate. I clicked on the radio, glad to have the music to cut some of the gloom. We didn't have long to wait before the DJ, Buttercup finally explained what a DJ was to me yesterday. Came on. Can't beat Sapphire Shores for sass and funk. And that was Ain't Gonna Hang My Head. Well, if you were listening earlier, you probably heard the security mayor's little declaration of war against the Paradise Mall. Looks like Paradise has responded by putting in kind by putting a big bounty on security. Now, I know times are tough. I know a number like that is bound to turn anybody's head. But given where the money's coming from, I just gotta ask, what's stopping them from turning around the second you step out the door, taking the money back, and tossing your tail into Brimstone's fall? Even if they do let you walk away, enjoy spending every day of your life keeping an eye out for bandits and slavers. Oh, there was a shaking of paper and a conspicuous clearing of his throat. And I got a little memo from 10 Pony Tower Management. Those caps count as raiding activity should you collect. So don't plan on come here with them. don't plan to come here with them. We're never gonna do better if we kill every pony trying to do the right thing. Ponies selling ponies to work ponies to death is just wrong, no matter how you buck it. So with that in mind, the music began again. Here is Sweetie Belle with Priceless. Ooh, nice. For the first time I was starting to warm up a little to the DJ. I had to agree. Making me out to be a hero was annoyingly helpful, but it was good to hear any pony arguing about the 50,000 caps for my head. I just wish he had gotten it right that it was Deus that made the bounty. Though, on second thought, that bastard would probably enjoy it. It also explained why so many hunters were watching the road between here and Manhattan, between Megamart and Manhattan. If VJ Pondry was in my corner, maybe I was running there now. Some ponies started shooting. First, it wasn't any of us. Second, it wasn't at any of us. I relaxed as I took out my shotgun. The gunshots came from the south, and moving quickly, I could make out lots of yellow bars on my EFS. Glory glided carefully between the hills as we came along a siege. A dozen ponies fired pot shots at a bunker that returned fire through armored slits. "Get your tails out of there!" shouted a mustard brown pony in a battle saddle armed with 2 automatic rifles as we circled around behind them. "We're gonna skin you for them Brahmin you ate." Not a very convincing argument for them to get out, P-21 said as he glanced at me. "We could just go around and let them shoot it out. That would probably be the smart idea. Unfortunately, I am not a smart pony." Yeah. I moved up behind assault rifles and levitated out my baton. "Hey, what's up?" I asked brightly. "Got a bunch of them thieving Crusaders holed up in there. Ate 3 of our Brahmin," assault rifle said as he scratched his pockmarked hide with a hoof. I might not have cared for his hygiene, but I had to admit that I liked those mirrored sunglasses he wore. Very snazzy. 12 adults shooting at Crusaders? I asked incredulously. "Yeah, well, it's our 3rd Brahmin to eat." He glanced at me and then at the door of the bunker. "Are you sure that those kids are not, say, a ratigator or something else?" I said as suggestively as possible. Doubt flickered in his eyes and his scowl turned sourer. Sourer? Oh well. "Well, I guess. Maybe," he muttered, and then looked over at me. He lowered his glasses to stare at my barding. Then his eyes widened, and as dreams of avarice bloomed in his eyes. "Don't do it," I warned, giving him a look, pressing the tip of the baton against his chin. "You won't live to get your share." "Right. Well, guess we might as well get out of the rain. Come on, boys," he said with a sickly grin. The other ponies gave a few more shots, but quickly moved off into a clump, talking between themselves, and looking back at me more and more. I got a distinct feeling we're gonna have to fight them pretty soon, P-21 said sourly as the mob moved further south. That bunch is just screaming ambush to me. What happened? Okay, I'm back. Then when they shoot first, they can find out how bad an idea it is, I said as I approached the door to the bunker. "You can come out, Crusaders. They're gone." Rifle shots against my barding told me they weren't convinced. It stung like mad, but no penetration. That's what she said. The bars were still yellow, so I guess that was a warning shot. I reached out with my magic and nagged hard on the muzzle. The rifle came flying out the slot in the door. "Hey, not fair!" some pony protested inside. There was some tense muttering inside, and then one by one the fillies and colts stepped into view. All wore the same cloak with the same patch on it. A chartreuse unicorn's eyes widened at the sight of me. Whoa, it's security. A little bit of pride blossomed inside me. Then she turned to the other three. If we take her out, we can get thousands and thousands. If we take her out. I'm just imagining like Scootaloo or like Snips and Snails saying that. If we take her out, we can get thousands and thousands of caps. That pride shrilled and died and rotted in a pernicious cloud of decay. If I had to kill Crusaders, I'd just put my head on a platter for Deus and give him the full bounty. Don't be an idiot, Medley. A rose colt with magenta eyes, mares with magenta mane snapped. She kills raiders by looking at them. Foreshadowing. Besides, she helped Boeing's band out of a pinch. And right. And got Scootle ate by ghoulies, Allegro. A la. Oh, one moment. This is a 12-syllable word. Ugh. Okay, more like a half dozen. A lackadaisical blue colt with purple mane replied. And she got us out of a pinch, too. Or you think them Brahmin farmers were just gonna let us out of here? A purple filly with a silvery mane looked curiously at the patch on my body. And she's a Crusader, too. She easily had to be the youngest of the four. What? No, she isn't, Sonata. She's too old, Medley said as she scowled at me, walking around to look at the Crusader patch. What? What are you doing wearing our patch? She demanded crossly. You're too old. I wondered if she thought there was a certain age that the patch would just pop off. How old do I have to be before I can't be a Crusader? I asked as she scowled, opened her mouth and closed it again in confusion. I do want to help the Crusaders if I can. Well, don't hear that often, the rose colt said with a grin. I'm Allegro, and that's my bro, Adagio. Over there is Sonata, and the hornhead is Medley. Hornhead. He leaned towards me and added with a strange whisper, Don't worry about her, she's a pill. I am not, she shouted back at them. I just don't think we should be nice to her. She got Scootle eated. Medley pointed an accusatory hoof at me. I sighed, sitting down in front of her. I did. I was stupid. She tried to tell me what to do, and I didn't listen. Medley's scowl faded a little. I thought she was stupid and frightened. I was stupid. I should have been frightened. If I would have died, it would have been fair. But I didn't. She did. For that, I'll always be sorry. I can only hope they'd believe me. I didn't think I could have fought them if they didn't. Medley frowned but looked away with a huff. The three Earth ponies seemed to accept my apology. It's okay, miss. Gillies what don't talk will eat. Well, they won't talk or most any pony, Sonata said solemnly. So why were these ponies after you anyway? P-21 asked, with a nod of his hoof in the direction of the dozen ponies that had taken towards the south. Oh, those lot think we're poaching Brahmin, Allegro said with a snort. We got one rifle and Brahmin ain't stupid. Well, not as stupid as Rat Hog, but they got it out for us. Bad blood and all. He pointed a hoof towards the crater. There's a bunch of mutant critters living in them old bunkers what got blowed up. They're dragons, Adagio said lazily as he lay down next to the rose-colored colt. All mutanted up. Dragons? Glory said in alarm. Mutanted up, the blue colt said with a slack grin. Ain't nearly so big and dumb as mud. They come out, snatch a Brahmin that's straight, and run back into the rocks. Some breathe fire, too. The Crusaders is easier than going hunting for dragon critters. I looked to the south. Are there a lot of ponies in this ranch? The stockyard? Oh, yeah. Biggest town on Sunset till flank. 20, 30 ponies? I didn't want to have to add 20 or 30 ponies to my list. I looked at P-21 and Glory. He sighed. You want to go dragon hunting, don't you? If we don't, we might have to shoot our way through a whole bunch of ponies. I'd rather avoid it if I can. I looked over at the Crusaders. And besides, maybe we can patch up some of the bad blood. Blackjack, do you even have a clue what we're going up against? He asked, plaintively cocking his head. Yep, I said. I grinned as I sat with the Crusaders. Dragons, mutant it up. that's gonna turn into a meme. I want it. That would make such a good meme. Mutant it up. Oh well. Okay, back to the story. Okay, I had to admit it. I had no idea what I was facing. I didn't know how tough they were or how many of them there were. Excuse me. All I knew was that for a change, I had an option to help ponies instead of shooting them. That was what I was going to do. I didn't want to die. I just wanted to do the right thing. If these dragons turned out to be sentient and starving with a pitiful sob story, well, I want to die. Till then. Oh, I shouldn't be laughing at this. It's sad. The cave of the dragon mutants lived in was a crevice in the ground that I almost fell into before I spotted it. Just to the south stretched the pasture lands in their Brahmin. I could make out a few ponies with rifles, but but either they hadn't seen us or weren't that fussed about us being to the north edge of their land. I loaded a shotgun with a drum of slugs and a second drum with black needle rounds and an orange explosive rounds. I had no clue what the dragon's hides would be, or how tough the dragon's hides would be. Just another reason this was a bad idea. I was going anyway, of course. Blackjack. I dropped carefully into the crevice, sliding down 10 or 20 feet. Glory floated P-21 down with her. I didn't like him going in unarmed, but I knew that was nothing new. You'll find out. Inside the crevice made my rad meter start to click. Glory deftly pulled out 3 syringes from one of her many pockets and gave each of us an injection. The clicking slowed to less worrisome levels. Rad-X, yay! Let's go quick, I said as I took the lead. As the light dimmed, my vision turned amber and the interior of the cave grew in a sharp relief. Whoa. We didn't have to go far. As we slid down a slope, my EFS lit up with 8 or 10 red bars. The first 2 picked over the bones of a slain Brahmin. They were much smaller than I anticipated, barely larger than foals. Their heads were flat and topped with wide, staring eyes that glowed bright yellow. Sharp claws tipped their fingers and toes. Thank the gods they didn't appear sentient. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank the goddesses they didn't appear sentient at all. Just dangerous. Soon as I stepped around the corner, they opened their toothy maws wide, hissed, and charged, gnashing their teeth ravenously. As I was close range, I hit Sats and placed both shots right in the closest one's mouth. The buckshot easily took its head clean off. These things might look like dragons, but they weren't nearly as tough as in the stories. Glory's beam pistol slammed into the other, and the 4 of them, and the fourth soft beam, crack, transformed it into a heap of popping ash. At least it's not bubbling goo. I chuckled, looking at P-21. Piece of cake. These things aren't nearly as tough as dragons. Or they were just babies, Glory cried out, as from the tunnel emerged one twice the size as the first 2. Its mouth looked large enough to bite me in half. Oh. Glory leaped up to a ledge a few feet higher as I tried to move to the side and find more room. The shotgun blast did little to its hide, and bit and it bit as it bit down, grabbing me in its mouth. Its little forearms tried to tear through my barding as its teeth scraped against the plates. "Stop chewing on me!" I yelled as Sats recharged, and I swapped out the baton. I levitated it right above the thing's eye, and targeted thing's head and targeted 4 blows, releasing the spell. As resistant as the mutant was to bullets, its neck smashed just fine. On the full strike, something in the mutant snapped, and it fell into a twitching heap. Heh, cool. Unfortunately, more were coming up the tunnel. I swapped drums, mourning the damage of special rounds would do to the weapon. "Oh, it's gonna hurt, gun." Then I noticed P-21 sneaking closer to the dragons and tossing 2 mines out in the middle of their path. Why was he carrying mines? You're finding out. He fell back and covered his head and as the first mine beeped, and then the second a moment later. The explosion blew off the legs of the 2 leaders. "Yeah!" I cheered at P-21, who now did all he could to disappear against the cave wall. I charged forward, screaming and grinning like a mad mare, as Glory nimbly sprang along the rock ledges above me. Her beam shots did little, but I took all the help I could right now. Sats let me target 2 shots into the mutant's chest. "Fire at their feet with explosives, you suck!" Splash damage. The first explosive round blew out a plate-sized circle and showered me with shards of shell. The second shot fired a fist-sized spread. Ugh! Hoof-sized spread of the razor-sharp darts into the hole. Blood sprayed from the creature's mouth and chest wound as the flesh sliced through its meaty interior into vulnerable organs. Maybe we just luck with the dragon's meat, but the dragon mutant went down in a heap. That's actually pretty clever. Blow off its armor, then boom! Once you take the armor out, use fleshes. That's a very clever strategy, Blackjack. With no time for stats, we wore down the 6th dragon through the barrage of shots. It died messily. I was plenty beaten and bruised under my barding. I definitely owed Keystone for upgrading it. I slugged down a healing potion and then looked coolly at P-21. "Okay, mister, I don't trust myself with guns. What are you doing with mines?" He shifted a little in embarrassment. "Well, they're not guns, are they?" He opened his saddlebag to show a number of the round tins, and some grenades, and some round sticks tipped with brass caps. "What are these?" I asked, and as I lifted one out, casually flipping off the brass cap as I did so. It instantly started to hiss and smoke. "Oh, that can't be good. Toss it! Toss it!" P-21 shouted, diving for the ground. I threw it as hard as I could down the tunnel. The boom was both sharper and quieter than the detonation of a grenade. He firmly closed his saddlebags. "It's called dynamite, as explosive as a grenade, but a lot cheaper." "Right, pop the top throw. Simple enough." I found myself unsurprisingly unnerved by the explosives. "So why are you carrying them again?" "Because I'm sick of being useless," he replied sharply, closing his eyes and pressing his lips together. "I still don't like firearms, but explosives take more deliberation. It's harder than just pulling a trigger, so I think I'm safer with them." He's safer with explosives than something with a nice, neat hole in things? Why did that not make me feel better? "Well, please don't blow us up, okay?" He nodded. I still didn't feel much better. I love this. This is so awesome. "We better hurry," Glory said as she landed beside us. My rad meter now crept into the yellow. I could still make out two or three further in. Theoretically, we could have taken one corpse left and said, "Huzzah! Proof!" But it'd be head over hooves better if we could say, "Huzzah! They're all dead. Please don't shoot at me for the bounty." So without further ado, we moved forward as quietly as we were able. The path sloped downwards, and in several twists and turns just disappeared into a hole in a concrete wall. Inside was a bunker of some sort, half filled with rubble and numerous crates and containers. Most of them were all manner of smashed, but a few looked intact. One more imminent concern was the beast charging at us. Glory immediately took to the air and began strafing maneuvers as I stepped forward with sats ready. Then I noticed a stick of dynamite fly over my head and directly into the path of the mutant dragon. My mane rose on end, but the detonation sent the charging monster sprawling on its face. I glanced back at P-21 with a wide-eyed look. Clearly, this was going to take a lot of getting used to. I'm sorry, but I just love this. It's so awesome. A little blue guy with guns, with explosives. I love explosives so much. Clearly, this would take a lot of getting used to. With Sats, I finished off the torso. I winced at how loose the feed felt as I reloaded. Not good, Blackjack. Some of my luck must have rubbed off on Glory because one of her beam pistols neatly incinerated the remaining dragon mutant. She landed beside me. That it? No, actually it wasn't. There was one red bar remaining in the room, but all that lay in that direction was a big heap of rubble. Then I cocked my head and groaned softly. Ah, fuck me. The rubble shifted and rolled, and from behind it, raised a gray shape even larger than the ones we just finished off. Climbing out of a depression, this was clearly much more dragon than mutant. The back legs had atrophied almost to nothing, but its forelegs pulled it over the ground. It let out a mindless shriek and opened its maw wide to spray flames across the three of us. We managed to jump behind the cover of some storage crates, but there was definitely some scorched mane smell in the air. Okay, beam guns, shotguns, explosives. What sounds best against a dragon? I asked, looking from one to the other with wide, bulging eyes. I don't think I have a bomb big enough. Even all my bombs. People, oh, that's never a good thing. Always have some C4 and a small antimatter bomb on hand. Or on hoof. It was crawling towards us, making the bunker shake and sending rocks and pebbles raining down on us. The ceiling was a mess of cracks and gaps. I grinned. Want to do something stupid? P-21's mouth hung open for a second. Sure, why not? He said, throwing his hooves in the air. Throwing his hooves up in a shrug. Yeah? I'm sorry. I get reminded of a little picture. Blue Colt doing the exact same thing. Didn't see his cutie mark. It's like, Use those explosives on yours to bring the roof down. On top of us? Glory said, her eyes wide with shock. There's more of him than us, I pointed out as her brows furrowed together. Oh, I am very sorry, everybody. P-21 looked at the cracks and looked where the cracks snaked down the walls. I'll need some time. The bombs will have to be deliberate. He reached up into his barding, drew a syringe of Medex, and jammed it into the side of his leg through the brace straps. Then he sighed and pulled out a magazine. Oh, fuck. He's addicted to a freaking Medex. You're reading now? I shouted as the dragon was coming after us. The magazine seemed to have something to do with explosives. Too much. Fuck. Fuck. Okay. I want this to work, he shouted, not taking his eyes off the diagrams in the article. Keep it busy. I love when a plan comes together. Let's do this, I shouted and ran out to the side, ejecting the drum with the explosive rounds, snagging it, and taking out an empty drum. As I raced ahead of the spewing flame, a stream of green banded rounds slipped into the drum. I saved Sats and shouted, "Go for the eyes, Glory!" I went for everything else. I began to fire the green rounds. They didn't penetrate in the slightest. Instead, the green gunk spread over his limbs, then flared bright green and sank into the thick hide. Toxic rounds. The dragon lurched, now looking a bit ill as the toxic rounds went to work. I knew it. I had no idea if their effect was cumulative, but it seemed to slow and disorient the beasts as P-21 raced around the edge of the room. Hey! Hey, dragon! Hey! You're ugly! I, I shouted and shrieked as I kept light on my hooves. Glory buzzed around, her battle saddle strafing him with little effect. Him? Oh well. The dragon's mouth opened wide, and she tucked almost into a ball to avoid getting bitten in half. Me? I had to worry about the tail thicker than I was as it was snapping out and sweeping around. Unfortunately, even though I dodged it, it created a wave of debris that swept me off my hooves. Come on, P-21. Blackjack, he shouted from the crevice leading out. I dared to take my eyes off the dragon long enough to see the dynamite he'd stuffed into the cracks. Get out, Glory! I yelled as I focused my horn, trying to flick off brass caps from a stick of dynamite across the room. While the dragon wanted to pulp me, it wasn't exactly easy. I holstered the shotgun and raced around the perimeter of the room, ahead of another massive tail sweep. Every group of dynamite I passed, my might swept out and popped off a half-dozen caps. The debris carried by its tail caught me just as I finished arming the last row of caps. Knocked off my hooves again, I rolled along with the debris, with the dented crates, and hunks of mutant dragon spawn. Boom, 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 boom. Suddenly the air filled with dirt and rock as the cracks gave way, and the other half of the bunker fell in. I felt myself crouched in a tiny gap between a block of concrete rubble and a heavy steel crate. Clouds rolled overhead, and rain trickled in. A half-dozen farm ponies poked their heads over the edge, looking down at me, laughing like crazy. Then the dragon got out. Oh my gosh. Oh, sweet Luda. Too awesome. So awesome. Okay, not completely out. I should have been clued in when I saw it sleeping underneath those armored crates, but it was definitely not going to stay pinned long. P-21, grenade! I yelled as I rose to my hooves. Ooh, not steady. No time for that. I hit sats, but this time I queued up a little improvisation. The first attack involved a 6-foot piece of rebarb. What? I had so much radiation poisoning, my vision was perfect, and the jagged metal pierced his eye like a knife. Steaming yellow mung. Ew. I know what mung is. That shit's nasty. Steaming yellow mung immediately spurted out as the second attack triggered. P-21 pulled out a grenade and tossed it towards me. I flicked off the stem of the grenade and magically plugged it deep into the eye. The blast covered me head to toe in mutant dragon eye gunk. It also hadn't killed the dragon. Of course it didn't fucking kill the dragon. Die, die, die! I screamed as it worked itself free and charged at me. I charged toward its snapping head. Luck kept me from getting bitten in two as it spasmed. I leapt into the cleared out eye socket and slammed the tip of my shotgun into the tiny bloody hole in the back of its eye cavity. Round after poisoned round deposited the toxin directly into its brain. It lifted up, clawed at the wound, then gave one last shudder and collapsed. Ooh, toxin straight to the brain. Ouchie! Slowly, I stepped out of the dragon's skull. Blood and yellow vitreous fluids dripped me from my security boarding. My eyes glowed like mining lamps as I looked up at the farmers and Crusaders and yelled from the wide grin. Now who wants to try and collect that bounty? I yelled up at them, waving my steaming gun overhead and laughing wildly into the rain. There weren't any takers. Honestly, P-21 could have faced me off with 3 hoods tied behind his back. Ow. The dragon, curiously enough, had been the source of radiation in the cave. Steam crawling into the irradiated body cavity of a dragon was about as smart as climbing into a barrel of magic waste. When I emerged, I was rad sick. Oh, sweet Celestia, I had radiation oozing out of every hole. Radiation straight up the ass. I have radiation oozing out of every hole. I feel like I could piss Bill fire at the moment. I figured it'd be better just to keel over or dead. I wondered if it'd be better to just keel over dead or try out Gouldom. Fortunately, Stockyard had their own medic. Okay, she was a vet. At this point, I'd take a medical care from Deus. Her local remedy of Brahma milk, right away, Radex, along with a healing potion did the trick. Wasn't there magnets involved? Oh well. Okay, it got me off of death's door, and stopped the more embarrassing side effects of rat poisoning before I was shitting myself. A plus, really. I was also fairly sure that once word of this got around, I wouldn't have to deal with the swarms of poor, desperate ponies. She killed a fucking dragon! Blackjack, the Dragon Slayer. I really didn't want to deal with killing poor, desperate ponies. Sweet Celestia, don't make me have to kill poor, desperate ponies. Roundup, the buck with the assault rifles from earlier, was apparently the leader of Stockguard and gave some mutters of thanks, along with some apologetic sounding words to the Crusaders. It sounded apologetic, but I'm not quite sure. I'm sorry, I'm a little tipsy from the caffeine. Don't ask me how. Caffeine kind of gets me drunk a little bit. I don't know. Given that he wasn't trying to shoot me in the back, I considered it was a fair trade. Then he told me to leave. Okay, then it was a fair trade. I made one small demand. I did make one small demand. I took his snazzy mirrored sunglasses, and slipped them over my glowing eyes. Thanks, boss. Like a boss, I said as the seven of us continued down the road. Like a boss. Okay, we're little explanation for the next part. This is a Crusader talking. Then she's all like, die, die, die. And the dragon was all like, roar. And then she was all like, who wants some? And they were like, not me. And that was so awesome. Sonata shrieked as she bounced in glee around. What was that? 1 second. Okay, I'm back. It was just a dog. Where was I? Alright, Sonata shrieked as she bounced in glee around me on the tips of her hoofs. Clearly the event of her life. Adagio hummed along with Sapphire Shores on the radio. We know, Sonata. We were there, remember? The chartreuse unicorn certainly hadn't repeated that if they the chartreuse unicorn certainly hadn't repeated that if they turned me in, they'd have enough caps to swim in. Now that my body was far less radioactive, I had to admit, fighting the dragon critters hadn't gone that badly. I may have been battered and bruised, but I didn't get burned or munched. You know, I got to wonder, how did you hear about the bounty? It's only been 2 days. I couldn't believe word got out that fast. Oh, Redbeard was going on about it on Paradise Radio. You can pick it up this far south. Allegro said as he pointed at my pit buck. Gotta warn you, he's a bit of a jerk. We just listen to him because sometimes he talks about a big score. We want to make sure we ain't the score. I frowned and switched channels, getting a sigh of disappointment from Adagio. After 2 channels changes, there was a sharp crackle, and then a buck's harsh and gritting voice filled my ears. It sounded like the voice of a rusty bucket. Now what? I think it's a scam. That's what I think. We got it pretty good around the hoof. We got better tech, better food, better water, better everything. In bad times, we're on top. What does 10 Pony do? They dig up some cunt, dress her up, and send her here to stir up trouble. We got the Enclave poking their snout where they don't belong. We got Steel Raiders, threatening to blow up half the city. One outsider after the next, coming here to stir up trouble. And now security. Either she's a Manhattan thug with an itchy trigger horn, or she's just one of these brain dead stable ponies out in the wide world and they can't help but fuck with us. This is our home, our lives. She butchered Rose's group, smashed her horn clean off, and then gave her a 5-second head start before she second the goods on her. Oh yeah, security is all up in arms about bad things happening to bad ponies. Unless you're the pony she doesn't like. Then she doesn't give a fuck about you. That's why I'm glad Earthstreet didn't just back Theo's bounty, but matched it. The sooner this hypocrite is out of our mains, the better. So, some pony put security to rest and collect yourselves 100,000 caps. Or better yet, give her skanky ass to Davis and double that. What do you say? What do you fucking say? That hurt my voice. The sound of cheering and stomping hooves answered him. I switched the radio off, feeling like I was going to be sick. Okay, I hadn't expected that. I thought the DJ poetry was bad. It was bad enough. 200,000 caps. Yeah, that's pretty amazing actually. Diego said lazily. I thought that 10K for Bill the Slasher Pony was a lot, but that's nothing. Honestly, I had no idea how many monsters I could kill that would be a deterrent for desperate ponies out of my head. Ponies after a lucky shot. Ponies who kill me in my sleep. Worse. Oh, too far. Worse, I had to agree with him. If you were red on my pit buck, there was no mercy or consideration. I basically threatened every slaver with death. But like Rose had said, she had a kid. Then P-21 smacked my back of my head. Hard. I hissed, hugging my throbbing skull. What do you do that for? He rounded and looked me square in the eyes. I know that look. I'd rather not have you pass out again. His blue eyes narrowed. What Miss Rose was doing? What was Miss Rose doing when you butchered her group? She was slaving. Yeah, as I recall, she was trying to kill you, Blackjack. Remember the machine gun? But yeah, she was slaving too. He said with a huff, sitting in my path. So it's review. She tried to kill you while slaving. Do you think when she started that career that she was aware that some point might kill her for that? Or did some point issue some sort of slaving license that makes her immune? Actually, Paradise does that. Slavers ain't allowed to shoot slavers that have Paradise licenses. Or what have a Paradise license. Melody offered with a smile. She received a number of dirty looks, and the unicorn Billy gave an injured, "What? They do?" P-21 took a deep breath. Right. So unless you started working for Paradise slavers, you have no reason to blame yourself for any of that. So you are not responsible for the grief and blood that others bring on themselves by breeding greedy, cruel, or stupid. I don't want to kill ponies that just want a better life. I do, especially if the way they're trying to get that better life is by killing my friends. He shouted at me. Any pony that takes a shot at us has forfeited any right to live, Blackjack. You have to learn this. No, I shouted back. I can't do that. I can't just kill somebody because they're red on my pit buck. I said it as I took a step back, trying to get my heart and breathing under control. If some pony comes after me, I'll kill him if I have to. If I can get away, or scare them off, or something. Red is dead can't be my first option, P-21. He covered his face with a hoof, shaking his head. When he lowered it, he wore a small smile. You're absolutely amazing. You know that? Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. Comes from being stupid, I countered lamely, pawing at the cracked asphalt with my hoof. So, am I your friend? I gave the smallest smile of my own. He coughed, eyes going wide as he rubbed the back of his head with a hoof. I don't know a word for a pony that drives me crazy with her stubbornness and refuses to use basic common sense. If that's a friend, then that's exactly what you are. I heard a crunch and looked over at the Crusaders and Glory singing in a row. Allegro had pulled out a box of 200-year-old stale popcorn and munch on it. Oh my gosh. So, let me get it straight. uh, Blackjack and P21 having an emotional kind of talk, shout like that, and the rest of them, like 10 other ponies, sitting in a row watching. The one has popcorn. Oh, what? Oh, oh, that's so good. Oh. The Pegasus was red from ear to throat when she stared at us. Just kiss her already, Medley shouted. We glanced at each other and started to laugh as B21 stammered, then snapped, "Oh, shut up." Somehow that made it all the funnier. So I finally had a friend. I wondered if I'd ever get a chance to tell Watcher. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Oh, nothing could make me unhappy now. Let's continue. Little star, little star, little star. Medley shrieked as they buck plowed in. Fuck! I was wrong. Medley shrieked as the buck plowed into her over and over again. Sonata just whimpered with every shove as she took it like a broken doll. Adagio curled up as he was stomped again and again until bones cracked, skin split, and organs spilled. Allegro tried to fight. Out came the knives, and they started to carve him into pieces. Glory screamed as they pulled her wings clear off, and then fell over in a bloody heap as they proceeded to mount her as well. Pete 21's severed head lay beside me as he muttered, "Should have fought him, Blackjack. Them or us." I screamed as I felt Davis pin me beneath him, and with one shove ripped me in two. For some reason, that reminds me of a scene from Family Guy. If you can guess what scene it is, tell me in a comment. Leave a comment, please. Well, leave a comment in general, please. Leave comments. Leave comment, please. Leave a comment, please, please, please. I need more comments. I need more viewers, please. Tell your friends. My eyes opened as I lay there in darkness of the culvert, listening to the gurgle of water flowing beneath the platform built into the middle of the concrete pipe. 4 mattresses lay in a row. They smelled a bit like mildew, but they were more comfortable than the ground. It took me several minutes to get my breathing. I'm sorry. It took me several minutes to get my breathing slowed enough to look over at the sleeping forms of the Crusaders and P21. My hooves trembled slightly as I unzipped my duffel and took out one of Keystone's parting gift, a bottle of whiskey. Yay, whiskey! I carefully undid the top and sipped some down. Not enough to get drunk, I hoped, but enough to put a little warmth in my stomach and steady my legs. One more sip for luck, and then I put the bottle back in the duffel. I didn't want to wake every pony putting the security barding back on, so I simply seized the baton. Then I carefully walked towards the edge of the culvert to climb up to where Glory was keeping watch. I don't get her. I don't understand her behavior at all. I heard her voice from above, looking up. Even with the glasses, I could see her in my amber sight, laying perfectly on the edge of the bridge. She can be obtuse, vulgar, and obscene in one moment, and the next she's kind, laughing, and more noble than any pony I know. She killed children one day and saves them the next. It is some kind of schizophrenia, or can a pony actually survive being torn in two different directions so severely? Her companion is equally inscrutable, more of a realist, perhaps. It's clear he's dealt with far more long-term psychological trauma. It seems to have helped him adapt to the realities of the wasteland better than she or I have. His insistence on deliberate self-control is remarkable, but I wonder about its source. Unlike security, he doesn't seem fixated on some ideal self-standard, but instead has a deeply repressed rage kept contained. I think he's right to not want a gun. I carefully moved up the slope and saw her talking to a small device between her forelegs. And me? Have I adapted? I still operate inside a bubble of terror. I feel like I feel like if I leave her presence, I'll be trapped under the floor once again. I'm in a constant state of anxiety. She throws herself in harm's way with almost suicidal eagerness. I'd like to have, I'd likely have died many times had she not. When I came here, I expected savagery, not protectiveness. I have to do something. Her mouth lowered as she whispered softly into the device. I smiled and backed away down the slope of the culvert, coughed, then climbed up uh, the rest of the slope with much more noise. When I reached the road again, the device was gone. Hello, Blackjack. What are you doing? Your watch doesn't begin for an hour. I stood up. I stood there for a moment, staring out into the still night before answering. Had to take a leak. I don't doubt I'll get back to sleep now. I looked at her with a smile. Why don't you tuck in early? You look a bit spent. She looked concerned, but then nodded. All right. Good night. She hopped to the edge of the bridge. Glory? She froze. I got to wonder. Are we friends? She looked back at me, her mouth her mouth opening and closing soundlessly before she gave a little worried frown. Finally, she showed a shy smile. I'd like to think so. Then she gracefully left off and disappeared into the concrete pipe beneath the road. Oh, they will be much more than friends. I can tell you, they will be much more than friends. Yeah, me too, I said softly as I looked up at the road in the direction we'd come. 5 red bars slowly approached. I twirled my baton in my magical grip. I saw them trying to sneak along the road towards our camp. Trotting in the middle of the road, I approached them instead. 2 unicorns, 3 earth ponies. A shotgun, a rifle, a pipe, a shovel, and a pitchfork. Uh, exactly the kind of ponies I didn't want to fight. I tapped the baton against the cracked asphalt. I don't want to fight you. Then make it easy. Make it easy then. Come with us nice and quiet. Your bounty will go a long way to helping the stockyard. The unicorn mare with the shotgun said softly. I asked curiously, you ever lose some pony to slavers? We've all lost some pony, security. Except you, it seems. I sighed softly and closed my eyes. Yeah, I guess you're right. Who had I lost? I heard them moving closer. When I opened my eyes, stats activated, and out came the baton. In slow motion, I swung down before me. It swung down before me. The unicorn tried to use her shotgun as a shield, but she wasn't my target. The baton smashed into the upraised gun once, twice, and it tumbled away in 2 halves. The third swing brought the baton around upwards, connecting to the unicorn's levitated rifle and knocking it skyward. Coming out of stats, I battered the weapon with 2 more swings, glad when the clip knocked free. The unicorn pulled the trigger wildly, but it merely clicked. The other 3 moved, trying to pony pile on me. I ducked my front legs and tagged one in the face with a double hoof kick as my magic swept the baton low in front of me. My legs buckled and folded as the joints gave way to my swing. Or legs buckled and folded as the joints gave way to my swing. I kept moving, light on my hooves, as I swung the baton. When stats recharged, I unloaded 1 strike each per opponent, rather than simply battering in one skull after the next. I raised both front hooves and knocked and blocked the shovel with my pit buck, glad for the reinforced casing. And then brought my baton up smartly between his legs. He dropped the weapon, but I got a pitchfork in the ass for my trouble. Ouchie. I telekinetically grabbed the end of the prong, pulled it out, and gave the whole pitchfork a hard twist. The wielder's jaw cracked like a gunshot. Shotgun mare grabbed the shovel with her magic, and tried to stab me with the sharpened tip. The baton popped up in my own glowing magical grip, deflecting the implement up and as I ducked beneath it and body slammed her to the ground. I kick. Do not stomp. Want to fight, Ram. You. I finished as I stood over her. Then I realized she wasn't breathing. Oh, sweet goddesses, not again. Glory! I shouted as the other four backed away. The gray Pegasus dropped from the night sky, beam pistol ready as she landed. P-21 emerged from the gloom with a grenade in his mouth as he looked at the remaining four and shook his head and slowly shook his head. Glory at once started to pull out equipment. She administered a healing potion and then pulled out 2 small talismans on wires connected to a spark battery. Get back, she told me as she connected one talisman to the fallen mare unicorn's horn and the other to her cutie mark. A Brahmin, curiously enough. There was a crackle and a rainbow light shot through her as she was revived by the spell. She just killed you, Glory said quietly to the gasping unicorn, and she just saved your life. Leave her alone now, please. She's got better things to do than beat up farm ponies after a quick cap. The unicorn mare staggered to her feet, and the other four battered ponies together started their way back towards stockyard. Thank you, I muttered. I knew something was wrong. Those 5 must have been waiting until your shift. You saw them, didn't you? She just gestured to my pit buck. I nodded. Glory looked down at me softly and said softly, We're friends, right? I'd like to think so, I replied softly. Then don't do it again, understand? Glory said firmly. Friends let friends help them, even against themselves. Morning Glory then crouched as the petite Pegasus slipped into the air, flying back into the culvert. I sighed, noting that she hadn't given me a healing potion for my own injuries. I looked at P-21. Your turn? He thought a moment and then spat the grenade back into his saddlebags. Nah, I think she covered it. He started back towards the culvert. No offense, Blackjack, but sometimes you really aren't a smart pony. I groaned and flopped on my back, my butt throbbing as I covered my eyes with my hooves. Tell me about it. Footnote: level up. New perk: rad resistance. You resist 20% of rad exposure. That makes you 20% cooler. Oh, Luna, what the? Such an old meme. Skill note: melee 50. Well, that was interesting. Did not enjoy reading the little Uber rape battery dream, but I don't know. Oh, fuck, get off me. Ew. Fuck, I didn't know freaking cockroaches could fly. What the fuck? Oh. I'm gonna read a sad fic here pretty soon. Anyone have any suggestions? And no, I'm not going to read My Little Dashie. I've read it before, and I'm sorry, but it still makes me want to cry thinking about it, and I read it like pretty much right after it came out. Still, please give me suggestions. I am bored out of my skull. And I want to make the viewers happy, and the viewer. So, yeah, suggest any story you would like to hear me read, and I will try my best not to fuck it up. Okay? So, this is Nightlife, having given you Chapter 8 of Fallout Equestria Project Horizons. This chapter has been called Long Roads. Okay, by Somber. Nightlife, out.